Today I'm showing you how to bring miniature faces to life, and if you stick around till the end, you'll learn the process behind painting eyes. The key to painting this small, detail-rich area of our models isn't about the paint or the size of the brush, it's all about grip and stability. Here is my approach. I get a solid grip on the entire model. A glove helps make sure I don't rub off any paint, and I rest both my forearm and hand on the table. For the hand holding the brush, I do the same, but I also lean it against the other hand, creating a solid, static painting position. Then, the only thing I move is my index finger and the brush. This gives me maximum stability and controlled movement to tackle even the smallest detail. With that out of the way, let's put some paint on the model. When it comes to color schemes, you'll find countless combinations of tones and recipes. My method works with any of them. But to keep things simple, I'll use a brownish red alongside a medium and light skin tone. I start by mixing the medium skin tone with the red in equal amounts to create a base coat, applying 2 thin coats for an even finish. Next, I'll deepen the shadows using a 2:1 water to paint mix of the red. So far, nothing new, just following the base coat followed by a wash formula to lay the groundwork. Now for the first layer of highlights using a slightly lighter version of my base coat. The key features to focus on are the nose, cheekbones, upper lip, chin, forehead and jawline. Though this first highlight looks more like a second base coat, I am mostly just avoiding the shadows, like for example below the cheekbones. From this point onwards, it is very important not to overload the brush with paint. This helps prevent it running into unwanted areas. If you don't know how much paint is enough, take a close look at how only about half of my brush is loaded. Still, I have a dedicated video on brush control linked in the description if you want a deeper dive into this topic. Next up, I use a lighter mix to properly highlight the previous coat. This time, I cover a smaller area of the same facial features I just mentioned. Color-wise, I am not pushing into pure medium skin tone, but always working within the same mix to keep harmony. There is no exact recipe for the highlights, but I keep adding small pinches of medium and light skin tone until I notice enough of a shift in tone. Don't worry if these highlights look too intense at first. Once the paint dries, the color will tone down a bit, and later on I'll show you just how easy it is to blend everything together. Then a final highlight is applied, though how much we want to push it is up to us. The key point here is not to worry if you can't pull off a super thin line. Instead, aim for a dot within the previously highlighted area or repeat the same highlight but making it shorter. Do as many or as few highlight layers as you feel are necessary, or as the model allows. This particular face is 6 mm tall, but has very defined features, so I am comfortable taking the highlights this far. But for smaller or larger faces, you might add or remove a step depending on the detail. If you're finding the video helpful so far, a like or subscription really helps me out. I like to push the highlights more than usual because a high contrast face stands out better on the tabletop. Still, I bring everything together with a half wash, half glaze of the original base tone. This tones down the highlights and lifts the shadows slightly, bringing all the colors closer together. But make sure to work the paint around to where you have little to no pulling in the recesses. Finally, to preserve the contrast in the shadows, I applied a heavily diluted red wash, something like 3 or 4 parts water to 1 part paint. Unlike the last step, this one I want to make sure is extra thin, so that it doesn't affect any areas but the recesses. It is the combination of these simple and very subtle filters that makes the most difference in the end. And here is the result after framing the face with some hair and eyebrows. Now the do or die part of painting a face, the eyes. First step is blacking out the eyes. For this, I mix a bit of the hair color with a dark brown. The reason? The darker frame we create around the whites of the eyes not only helps them stand out, but also reads as eyelashes. That's why I tint it with a bit of the hair color. Going for pure black would end up looking more like a mascara, which can be useful but would look silly on this particular model. During this whole process, I always turn the model around so that my brush is aiming at the nose and remains unobstructed. This will save you from making any mistakes that would stain the nose, something I learned the hard way. If at any point during this process the paint doesn't seem to come out, don't press down. Rinse the brush and try again with fresh paint. The small amount of paint we are working with is bound to dry fast. Still, be patient and take your time. Quick side note. In order to record this, I had to lean my hands into the camera to get this close-up view, which means I wasn't working in the manner I showed in the beginning. So before moving on, I decided to do some corrections off camera. After making use of a proper stable grip, the difference is night and day. For the pupils, there is not much to it beyond practice and holding your breath. I recommend a light up and down motion to draw a line instead of trying your luck with the dot. And just like with the whites of the eyes, if the paint doesn't come out, rinse the brush and try again. Hope you found this helpful for tackling those tiny faces. If you want to dive deeper, there is more useful information in the brush control video linked below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.